What happens when two of music's biggest personalities clash on live television in a way that nobody saw coming? Today, we're diving into the explosive confrontation between Meghan Trainor and Kelly Clarkson. That had viewers at home watching in complete shock. This isn't your typical celebrity interview gone wrong. This is something much deeper, much more personal. And it all started with one seemingly innocent question that set off a chain reaction nobody could have predicted. Before we get into all the jaw-dropping details, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling me what you think really caused this whole situation to spiral out of control. The Kelly Clarkson Show was having what seemed like a perfectly normal taping day. The studio audience was buzzing with excitement, the cameras were rolling, and Kelly was in her element, chatting warmly with her guest, Meghan Trainor, about her latest album and upcoming tour dates. Everything seemed to be going smoothly, with both women laughing and sharing stories about their experiences in the music industry. Kelly had just finished asking about Meghan's songwriting process when she decided to pivot to a more personal topic. "So, Meghan, I have to ask," Kelly said, with what appeared to be genuine curiosity. "There's been a lot of talk lately about authenticity in pop music, and I know you've always been someone who prides herself on being real with her fans, but I'm wondering, do you ever feel pressure to maintain that image, even when it might not always reflect how you're actually feeling?" The question seemed harmless enough on the surface, the kind of thoughtful inquiry that Kelly was known for asking her guests. But something in Meghan's expression shifted almost immediately. Her smile faltered for just a moment before returning, though it didn't quite reach her eyes this time. "That's an interesting question, Kelly," Meghan replied, her voice taking on a slightly cooler tone. I think all artists have to navigate that balance between being authentic and being professional. But I'm curious why you're asking me specifically about maintaining an image. Are you suggesting that my authenticity is somehow fabricated?" Kelly seemed taken aback by the defensive response. "Oh no, not at all. I wasn't implying anything negative. I was just wondering about the pressures that come with being in the public eye, especially for someone who's built their brand around being so relatable and down to earth." "My brand?" Meghan's eyebrows raised slightly. "Kelly, with all due respect, I don't have a brand. I have a personality. I have experiences. I have genuine emotions that I share with my fans because that's who I am, not because some marketing team told me it would sell records." The tension in the studio was becoming palpable. Members of the audience began shifting uncomfortably in their seats, and you could see the production team exchanging worried glances from behind the cameras. Kelly tried to smooth things over with a gentle laugh. "Of course, I completely understand that. I think I may have phrased that poorly. What I meant was that you've always been so open about your struggles and your journey, and I admire that vulnerability. I was just wondering if that openness ever feels like a burden." "A burden?" Meghan's voice was getting sharper now. "Kelly, let me ask you something. When you talk about your divorce, your struggles with depression, your difficult childhood, do you consider that a burden? Or do you consider that being honest with people who look up to you?" Kelly's face flushed slightly. I think sharing those experiences has been healing for me, and I hope it helps others feel less alone in their struggles." "Exactly. So why are you questioning whether my openness is genuine? Why are you suggesting that my authenticity might be some kind of performance?" Meghan was leaning forward now, her body language becoming more aggressive. "Is it because I'm younger? Is it because I haven't been in the industry as long as you have? Or is there something else going on here?" The studio fell into an uncomfortable silence. Kelly looked genuinely confused and hurt by the accusations. "Meghan, I promise you, I wasn't trying to question your authenticity. I have nothing but respect for you as an artist and as a person. I think there might be a misunderstanding here." "A misunderstanding?" Meghan let out a bitter laugh. "Kelly, I've been doing interviews for years, and I know the difference between a genuine question and a loaded one. What you're doing right now is trying to paint me as fake, as manufactured, as someone who's putting on an act for the cameras." "That's absolutely not what I was trying to do," Kelly protested, her own voice beginning to show signs of frustration. "I was asking about the universal experience of being a public figure, not making any judgments about your character." "Universal experience?" Meghan scoffed. "Kelly, there's nothing universal about what I've been through. There's nothing universal about growing up as a bigger girl in an industry that tells you you're not good enough unless you look a certain way. There's nothing universal about fighting tooth and nail for every opportunity while watching other people get handed things because they fit a certain mold. The conversation was spiraling rapidly out of control. What had started as a routine interview was turning into something much more personal and confrontational. Kelly tried once more. To de-escalate the situation, "Meghan, I hear you, and I'm sorry if my question came across the wrong way. That truly wasn't my intention. I think you're incredibly talented and brave for sharing your story with the world." But Meghan wasn't backing down. If anything, Kelly's attempts at diplomacy seemed to be making her angrier. "Don't patronize me, Kelly. Don't sit there and tell me how brave I am while simultaneously questioning whether my story is real. You can't have it both ways. Either you believe in my authenticity, or you don't. And based on this conversation, it's pretty clear where you stand." Kelly's composure was starting to crack. After years of handling difficult interviews and challenging guests, she was clearly struggling with how to navigate this particular situation. Her voice took on a firmer tone. "Meghan, I think you're misinterpreting my words and my intentions. I've been doing this show for years, and I've interviewed hundreds of artists. I would never intentionally disrespect a guest or question their integrity. But that's exactly what you're doing," Meghan shot back. "You're sitting there acting like the victim when you're the one who started this whole thing with your backhanded questions and your fake concern." Kelly's eyes flashed with a mixture of hurt and anger. For someone who prided herself on creating a safe, welcoming space for her guests, this accusation cut deep. "Fake concern? Meghan, everything I do on this show comes from a genuine place. I don't do fake anything, and I resent the implication that I do." "Oh, you resent it?" Meghan's voice was dripping with sarcasm now. "Well, I resent being ambushed on your show with questions designed to make me look like a fraud. I resent having to defend my authenticity to someone who should be supporting other women in this industry instead of tearing them down." Of not supporting other women clearly struck a nerve with Kelly. Her voice rose slightly, though she was still trying to maintain some level of professionalism, tearing women down. "Meghan, that is completely unfair and completely untrue. This entire show is built around celebrating people, celebrating artists, celebrating women. I have spent my entire career lifting other people up." "Really? Because right now it feels like you're trying to tear me down piece by piece." Meghan's hands were gesturing more animatedly now, her passion and anger fueling every word. "You invited me here, supposedly to talk about my music, my art, my journey, and instead you're sitting there questioning whether any of it is real." Kelly shook her head vigorously. "That is not what happened here, and you know it. I asked one thoughtful question about the pressures of being in the public eye, something that every single person who sits in that chair has dealt with. You're the one who turned this into something it never was." "Thoughtful question," Meghan laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Kelly, let me break this down for you. When you ask someone like John Legend about authenticity, you're asking about artistic integrity. When you ask someone like me about authenticity, you're asking whether I'm really the person I claim to be. Do you see the difference?" Kelly paused, clearly trying to process what Meghan was saying, but her frustration was growing. "I treat every guest the same way, Meghan. I ask the questions I think will give our audience insight into who you are as a person and as an artist. There's no hidden agenda here. No hidden agenda." Meghan was on the edge of her seat now, her voice getting louder. "Then explain to me why you felt the need to question my authenticity specifically. Explain to me why you chose to focus on whether my openness might be a burden. Explain to me why you thought it was appropriate to suggest that my vulnerability might be manufactured." The studio audience was completely silent now, watching this train wreck unfold in real time. Several people in the front row looked visibly uncomfortable, and at least one person could be seen checking their phone, probably wondering if this was somehow planned or if they were witnessing a genuine meltdown. Kelly's voice was strained. As she tried once more to explain herself, "Meghan, I have interviewed countless artists who have opened up about their struggles, their insecurities, their journeys. I ask about the emotional toll of that vulnerability because I care about the people who sit across from me. I ask because I want our audience to understand that being open and honest in the public eye isn't always easy. But you didn't ask about the emotional toll, Meghan fired back. You asked whether my authenticity was real. You asked whether I felt pressure to maintain an image. Those are two completely different things, Kelly, and if you can't see the difference, then that's a problem. Kelly's patience was clearly wearing thin. Her usual warm, nurturing demeanor was being replaced by something harder, more defensive. You know what, Meghan? I think you came here looking for a fight. I think you walked into this studio with a chip on your shoulder, and you were determined to find offense in whatever I said. A chip on my shoulder. Meghan's voice went up an octave. Kelly, I came here excited to talk about my music, to connect with your audience, to have a good time. But instead, I walked into what feels like an interrogation about whether I'm a real person or just some carefully constructed persona. That is absolutely ridiculous, Kelly snapped, her composure finally cracking completely. I have been nothing but professional and respectful, and you have turned this into a circus. You're attacking me for doing my job, for asking the kind of questions that good interviewers ask. Good interviewers, Meghan stood up abruptly, startling everyone in the studio. Kelly, good interviewers don't make their guests feel like they have to prove their worth. Good interviewers don't ask loaded questions designed to make people defensive. Good interviewers don't sit there acting innocent when they know exactly what they're doing. Kelly remained seated, but her face was flushed with anger and embarrassment. I cannot believe what I'm hearing right now. You are completely out of line, Meghan, completely out of line. I'm out of line. Meghan's voice was getting louder with each word. Kelly, you brought me on your show. You asked me invasive questions about my authenticity. And when I called you out on it, you acted like I was the crazy one, and now you have the audacity to tell me that I'm out of line. The tension in the room had reached a breaking point. Production assistants were whispering urgently to each other, clearly unsure whether to intervene or let this play out. Cameras were still rolling, capturing every moment of this unprecedented breakdown in what was supposed to be a friendly daytime talk show interview. Kelly stood up as well, matching Meghan's energy. You know what? Yes, you are out of line. You came on my show, and you've been hostile and confrontational from the moment I asked you a perfectly reasonable question. You have accused me of things I didn't do, said things I didn't say, and imputed motives I don't have, hostile and confrontational. Meghan's eyes were blazing now. Kelly, I am standing up for myself. I am refusing to let you paint me as some kind of fake person who's manipulating her fans. If that makes me hostile, then so be it. Nobody called you fake, Kelly shouted, her voice echoing through the studio. Nobody said you were manipulating anyone. You created this entire narrative in your head, and now you're attacking me for things that exist only in your imagination. In my imagination, Meghan took a step closer to Kelly's desk. Kelly, I have been in this industry long enough to know. When someone is trying to undermine me, I know when someone is asking questions designed to make me look bad. And that's exactly what you did today. The confrontation had escalated to the point where security personnel were starting to move closer to the stage area, though they hadn't intervened yet. Kelly and Meghan were now facing off like two prizefighters, their voices carrying across the stunned studio audience. Kelly's voice was shaking with anger and frustration. Meghan, I have tried to be patient with you. I have tried to explain myself, to clarify my intentions, to de-escalate this situation. But you are determined to paint me as the villain here, and I won't stand for it anymore. You won't stand for it. Meghan's voice reached a new level of intensity. Kelly, you started this whole thing. You opened this door when you decided to question my integrity on live television. You don't get to play the victim now that I'm defending myself. Kelly's hands were shaking as she pointed toward Meghan. Defending yourself. You're not defending yourself. You're attacking me. You're making accusations that are completely baseless and completely unfair. I have done nothing to deserve this treatment. Nothing. Meghan's laugh was harsh and bitter. Kelly, you sat there with that fake smile and asked me if my authenticity was just an act. You questioned whether my vulnerability was genuine. You made me feel like I had to prove that I'm a real person with real emotions and real experiences. I never said any of those things, Kelly screamed, her voice cracking with emotion. Not once did I question your integrity or your authenticity. As a person, you have twisted everything I said into something it wasn't. Meghan moved even closer to Kelly's desk, her finger now pointing directly at the host. "Don't you dare gaslight me, Kelly Clarkson. Don't you dare sit there and pretend like you didn't know exactly what you were doing with those questions. You knew they would put me on the defensive, and you asked them anyway." "That is enough," Kelly shouted, her voice carrying a surprising authority that surprised everyone in the studio. "I will not be spoken to like this on my own show. I will not be accused of things I didn't do by someone who clearly came here with an agenda." "An agenda?" Meghan's voice was hoarse now from all the shouting. "My only agenda was to promote my music and have a nice conversation. But you turned this into some kind of psychological evaluation where I had to prove my worth to you and your audience." Kelly looked toward the production team, clearly searching for some kind of intervention. "This interview is over. We're done." "Here, oh no, Kelly, you don't get to dismiss me like that." Meghan's voice was dangerously low now. "You don't get to ambush me with your questions and then act like I'm the problem when I refuse to play along with your game." A producer finally stepped forward, clearly uncomfortable with the situation but knowing something had to be done. "Ladies, maybe we should take a quick break and—" "No," Meghan cut him off without even looking in his direction. "I'm not taking a break. I'm not pretending this didn't happen. Kelly, you owe me an apology. You owe me an explanation for why you thought it was appropriate to treat me like this." Kelly's eyes were filling with tears now, but her voice remained strong. "I don't owe you anything, Meghan. I treated you with respect and professionalism, and you have been nothing but hostile and accusatory from the moment you decided to take offense at a perfectly innocent question." "Innocent question." Meghan slammed her hand down on Kelly's desk, causing several items to jump. "There was nothing innocent about what you asked me. You knew exactly what you were implying, and now you're trying to make me look crazy for calling you out on it." The sound of Meghan's hand hitting the desk seemed to be the final straw for everyone involved. Security personnel immediately moved forward, and the producer who had tried to intervene earlier was now speaking urgently into his headset. Kelly stood up from her chair and took several steps back from her desk. "That's it. I'm done. Meghan, you need to leave right now. Leave." Meghan's voice was incredulous. "You're kicking me off your show because I refused to let you disrespect me, because I stood up for myself instead of sitting there and taking your backhanded comments. I'm asking you to leave because you are being disruptive, aggressive, and completely unprofessional," Kelly said, her voice steady despite the tears streaming down her face. "This is supposed to be a safe space for everyone, and your behavior is making that impossible." Two security guards had now positioned themselves near Meghan, though they hadn't physically intervened yet. The studio audience was completely silent, many people appearing to be in shock at what they were witnessing. "Safe space." Meghan turned to address the audience directly. "Is this what Kelly calls a safe space? A place where she can question your authenticity and then kick you out when you refuse to accept her disrespect?" Kelly's voice was firm as she gestured toward the security team. "Meghan, you have 30 seconds to collect your things and leave voluntarily, or you will be escorted out. The choice is yours. You know what, Kelly?" Meghan's voice was suddenly calm, which was somehow more unsettling than when she was shouting. "You don't have to escort me out. I wouldn't stay on this show another minute if you paid me. I came here thinking I was going to talk to someone who supported other women, someone who understood what it's like to be in this industry. Instead, I got ambushed by someone who's clearly threatened by younger artists who aren't afraid to be real." Kelly's mouth dropped open. "Threatened by you? Are you kidding me right now?" "You figure it out," Meghan said as she grabbed her purse. "From beside the guest chair, you're the one with the talk show and the fake concern for your guests. You're the one who has to live with knowing that you treated someone like garbage on live television." As Meghan started walking toward the exit, one of the security guards moved to follow her, but she turned around one last time to address Kelly directly. "You know what the really sad part is, Kelly? I actually looked up to you. I thought you were someone who genuinely cared about lifting other people up. But today, you showed me exactly who you really are, and it's not pretty." Kelly was crying, openly now, but her voice was steady. "Meghan, I am truly sorry that you feel this way. I never intended for any of this to happen. I hope someday you can understand that my intentions were never malicious." "Your intentions don't matter," Meghan said as she reached the edge of the stage. "What matters is the impact of your words, and the impact today was that you made me Feel like I had to justify my entire existence to you and your audience. With that, Meghan walked off the stage and out of the studio, leaving behind a stunned audience, a devastated host, and what would undoubtedly become one of the most talked about moments in daytime television history. Kelly stood there for several long moments, wiping tears from her face and trying to compose herself. The cameras were still rolling, capturing every emotion that crossed her features. Finally, she looked directly into the main camera. "I want to apologize to everyone who had to witness that. This is not the kind of show we try to run, and this is not the kind of experience we want anyone to have. We're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll try to salvage what's left of today's show." As the cameras cut away and the audience sat in stunned silence, it was clear that this was a moment that would define both women's careers for years to come. The confrontation had escalated far beyond anything anyone could have predicted, leaving everyone involved to wonder how a simple interview had gone so catastrophically wrong. What did you think about this explosive confrontation between Meghan Trainor and Kelly Clarkson? Do you think Kelly's questions were out of line, or was Meghan's reaction completely over the top? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe for more shocking celebrity stories that you won't believe actually happened.